In this video, we're going to talk about finding the x and y intercepts of equations algebraically. So, whenever you're asked to find the x-intercept, you need to make the y 0. And whenever you're asked to find the y-intercept, you need to make the x 0. Let me show you what that means. In the following equation, we have y equals 3x plus 1. To find the y-intercept, what we need to do is we need to let x be 0. We let the one that's not y be 0. And then we solve. 3 times 0 is just 0, and 0 plus 1 is 1. So the y-intercept is 1. Or, if you wanted to make it an ordered pair, 0, 1. That's your y-intercept. Because our first number in the ordered pair is the x, and our second number in our ordered pair is the y. To find the x-intercept, we just make the y 0. We say 0 equals 3x plus 1. Next, we need to get x by itself, so we can take 1 away from both sides. We can then say negative 1 equals 3x. In order to get rid of that 3 in front of the x, we have to divide. And what we're left with is x equals negative 1/3. Or, if we wanted to write an ordered pair, it would be negative 1/3, 0. Let's try a few more examples to get this concept down. In this question, we're told to find the x and y intercepts of y equals x minus 2. So, to find the y-intercept, just like last time, what we're going to do is we're going to make the x 0. So y equals 0 minus 2. Now it's time to solve. Well, 0 minus 2 is just negative 2. Now all that we have to do is put it in an ordered pair. So the ordered pair is going to be x comma y, always, always, always. And the x we plugged in as 0, so out comes negative 2. Now let's find the x-intercept. For the x-intercept, we make the y 0. So 0 equals x minus 2. Now we have to get x by itself. So the opposite of minus 2 is plus 2. And what winds up happening is we get 2 equals x, or x equals 2. And again, because we always write x comma y, 2 is our x-intercept. And then when it's an intercept, the other one is 0. So our answers are, for our y-intercept, we have 0, negative 2. And for our x-intercept, we have 2, 0. Right, so in our examples, we're leaving linear equations behind. And when your equation is nonlinear, you can look at the exponent to see the maximum number of x-intercepts you can have. So look at this 2 here. We could have 2 x-intercepts is what that means. So let's go ahead and take a look. Just like in the last video, we'll go ahead and start with our y-intercept, but you can start with either one depending on what you're being asked for. And to find the y-intercept, we make x 0. So y equals 0 squared minus 9. Well, 0 squared is just 0. 0 minus 9 is just negative 9. So our y-intercept is negative 9. And we can write that as 0, negative 9. Now our x-intercept will be a little bit more tricky, but we can do it. We're going to have to make our y 0 to find the x-intercept. So 0 equals x squared minus 9. And there's two ways we can do this now. We could either factor what's on the right-hand side, or we could add 9 to both sides and say 9 equals x squared. And then we could square root both sides. And when we square root across an equal sign, do not forget that we have to add a plus or minus to the other side. And the square root of 9, of course, is plus or minus 3. And just as we predicted, we have two intercepts. We have plus 3 and we have minus 3. So we write those out as negative 3, 0 and 3, 0. So our intercepts are, for the y, 0, negative 9. For the x, negative 3, 0 and 3, 0. Let's find the x and y intercepts of this one. So our y-intercept is going to be, again, we make x 0. Well, when we make x 0, we get y equals, and we have to make every x 0. So we get y equals 0 squared minus 0. Well, 0 squared is just 0. 0 minus 0 is just 0. So our y-intercept is 0. And we can write that as 0, 0. So our y-intercept is 0, 0. That actually means there's an x-intercept there too, because they're both 0. And we're going to find that here. So to find our x-intercept, we have to make y 0. And now what we have to do, because there are two x's on the right-hand side, we would have to either use quadratic formula or we would have to factor. I think factoring is going to be easier because when we factor, we always start by taking out the greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor between x squared and x is just x. So we can set this as 0 equals, take out an x because that's the greatest common factor, and we're left with x minus 1. And I would definitely recommend the video on greatest common factors if you don't know how I did that, but I just took an x from both terms. Now what we're going to do is we're going to split it up. So we have 0 equals x, as I predicted earlier, and 0 equals x minus 1. That 0 equals x minus 1 is not done yet. We have to add 1 to both sides. And we get that x equals 1. So x equals 1. So we have two x-intercepts. We have one at 0, 0, and I'm just going to write it in red off to the side. So this one is 0, 0. And then we have another one that is 1, 0, 1, 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to write our answer. One of our answers is 0, 0. We see that here, and we see that here. Now we only have to write that once. So for our answer, I'm going to write 0, 0. That's the origin. And our other answer is 1, 0. And that's it. So we have an x and y intercept at 0, 0 because it crosses at the origin, which is where the x and y axis meet. But we also have an x-intercept at 1, 0. All right, let's do it again. So let's find our y-intercept. To find our y-intercept, we make our x is 0. So y equals 0 cubed plus 0. 0 cubed is just 0. 0 plus 0 is just 0. So y equals 0. We have a y-intercept again at 0, 0. Now let's look at our x-intercept. For our x-intercept, again, we make y 0. So 0 equals x cubed plus x. Looking at x cubed plus x, do they have anything in common? Well, they both have an x, so let's go ahead and factor out an x. What happens when we factor out an x is we get x times x squared plus 1. So let's split this up. We have 0 equals x, and we have 0 equals x squared plus 1. What's going to wind up happening is this 0 equals x is good, but if I try to solve this 0 equals x squared plus 1, I would subtract 1 on both sides, and I would get negative 1 equals x squared. If I then take the square root of both sides, what we would find is we would find that I would get imaginary numbers. Your calculator can't do this square root of negative 1 because it's not a real number. So what's going to wind up happening is we're not going to have an x-intercept for this part of the equation here. This part, the x squared plus 1, is not going to give us an x-intercept. We will get an x-intercept, though, from this 0 equals x right here. And of course, that x-intercept is just, well, we make the y 0 to get that 0, so it's just 0, 0. So both our x-intercept and our y-intercept are found at 0, 0. And we have no other intercepts because that x squared plus 1, if we try to set that to 0, it does not give us real numbers. All right, for everyone who is in Algebra 2 and above, I really wanted to end this one with a rational function for you guys. So with a rational function, we're going to solve it the same way. To find the y-intercept, we make x 0. So we're going to say y equals 5 times 0 plus 5 over 3 times 0 minus 1. Remember, every time we just take every x we see and we turn it into a 0. And what ends up happening is 5 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 5 is 5. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So 5 over negative 1 is just negative 5. All right, now let's take a look at our x-intercept. So we have a y-intercept at negative 5. Let me label that real quick. So that's going to be, of course, 0, negative 5. That's our y-intercept. Now our x-intercept, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to, just like last time, make our y 0. So 0 equals 5x plus 5 over 3x minus 1. And I want to get x by itself, but I don't want to deal with a pesky fraction. Now, a fraction is just a way of saying divided by. What I'm saying with this fraction is I'm saying 5x plus 5 divided by 3x minus 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite. Instead of divided by, I'm going to do times the bottom on both sides. And the reason that I do that is I want to get rid of the bottom. I don't want to deal with the bottom. And notice what happens on the left-hand side. What winds up happening is 3x times 0 is 0. Negative 1 times 0 is 0. So what we're left with is 0 equals 5x plus 5. Now what we're going to do is we're going to finish getting that x by itself. So we're going to subtract 5, and we get negative 5 equals 5x. Then we're going to divide 5, x equals negative 1. So we have an x-intercept at negative 1, 0. So our y-intercept for this problem was at 0, negative 5. And our x-intercept for this problem was at negative 1, 0. All right, if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned as we have more content on the way.